All right, I don't know what this is about, but I want to run through it real quick. During a preview, Forspoken devs described their black protag in cringe-inducing ways.
Oh
I am
Jesus!
very interested in hearing what's going on here. Update. The the hip hoppy walk. What? The hip hoppy walk comment was mistakenly attributed to a writer and not motion capture and voiceover director Tom Keegan, who actually made the comments. Okay. When I was scheduled for a preview for Spoken, the project, formerly Project Athea, there were three questions I had pressed to know. One, how the team went about handling the portrayal of its black protagonist. Two, what the gameplay was like. And three, how Forspoken stands out among other fantasy stuff. Shit, alright, whatever. Forspoken is a game by former Final Fantasy 15 devs Luminous Productions, which follows New Yorker Frey Holland as she's isekai.
I have no idea. I'm at a loss. They obviously know that you're not going to know what it means, so.
Japanese genre of light novels, manga, anime, and video games that revolve around a person who is transported to and has to survive in another world. Okay.
They've made it a verb.
I guess it's such a common genre, common theme in genre that it's its own verb. To a beautiful and cruel fantasy world of Athea. The world that awaits her is overrun by a blight called the Break, which turns animals and humans alike into monstrous creatures. To make matters worse, the Tantas, a matriarchy who once served as Athea's benevolent leaders, have turned into evil witches. Luckily for Frey, she's been imbued with magical powers that make her immune to the Break, thanks to her fashionable talking jewelry companion, Cuff. To find her way back home, Frey must use her newfound powers to defeat the Break and the Tantas. While I didn't get to play Forspoken during my preview, I was able to watch early build footage of the game during pre-recorded stream. The preview showcased Forspoken. You want to say Forsaken. Forspoken's magic system, parkour, and combat in action. It also gave me an opportunity to hear Frey's development of game leads. Okay. The magic Forspoken runs on his magic system. We want to represent the ability enhancements in the form that
This all says just like them talking about the game. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see.
Break works similarly to how Fade Rifts work in Dragon Age Inquisition. Law. Another key component for Forspoken's gameplay that sets it apart from fantasy games is magic parkour system, which was best showcased in its Game Awards trailer. While Forspoken didn't appear to be reinventing the wheel when it came to its magic open system, the leading actress Ella Balinska stood out to me. Square Enix said its decision was obvious, given its desire to have a strong female lead as the protagonist. We want our hero and other characters in Forspoken to be reflective of our diverse audience and relatable to our players. Square Enix said, we decided to model Frey after casting actress Ella Balinska, as we felt she embodied our envisioning of Frey perfectly, while meeting the lead writers behind Forspoken was meant to curb any fears I had with how the protagonist was going to be handled. It ended up sparking more unease than I initially had about the game. At one point in the pre-recorded Get to Know the Writers section, I learned that Forspoken had been in development since 2018 with Telltale's games The Walking Dead writer Gary Whitta and Uncharted's head of... That name sounds familiar. And Uncharted's head of writer creative director Amy Hennig, laying down the groundwork for the game world's concept and narrative while it was in pre-production. The torch was then passed to game's lead writers Allison Raymer and Todd Stashwick, who finalized the story. Oh, Jesus, you're giving us a real walkthrough here.
Yeah, to me it seems like this is the story down here, and the shit she said in the front, we might as well just like I don't even know why she talked about that
all
stuff.
These high-profile names were all well and good, especially for their previous association in crafting other AAA games. Last I checked, none of them were black people. Question marks rapidly started to fire off in my head about the game's handling of Frey, which were only festered by how its writers went about describing working with Balinska. My newfound fears weren't helped when Reimer and Stashwick described Frey's origin story, which came off as a tired amalgamation of black stereotypes. Those stereotypes included her, quote, being very angry, and her having, quote, fallen through the cracks of society, and being on, quote, on the verge of prison before being teleported to Athea. The cherry on top of my newfound dread was motion capture and voiceover director Tom Keegan describing Balinska's mannerisms during her motion capture performance as having a very hip-hoppy kind of walk. Okay, so yeah, these aren't great. these aren't great at all. Portraying, the angry black woman, that's a trope. Falling through the cracks of society, that's definitely a trope. That's something, actually, I remember my sixth grade social studies teacher. I remember we had a meeting with my parents, and he was like telling them that he was afraid. He was also black, so I guess maybe it's okay for him to say it. It's not okay for a white teacher to say it. But he said he was afraid that I was gonna be another black kid that fell through the cracks.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Fuck you, dude! You're just a boring ass teacher. That's why I don't give a shit about your class."
But if you were white, I'd be really pissed.
If you were white, yeah, that's not great. That's not great. Being on the verge of prison. I mean, that's kind of like. There's also this thing here where, like, when you're crafting a narrative and you're trying to add depth and realism to your character, particularly when you have a narrative focused story, and this is definitely true for movies and whatnot. Like, you have to give your character some flaws. Like, you have to give them an arc in which their character can either overcome those flaws or, fucking succumb to them, if that's the kind of story that you're trying to tell.
Yeah, sure.
But, like, so in a certain sense, I don't want to get into this mode of being, like infantilizing characters of color in fiction. Like, you're gonna have to have some characters with, flaws and with, that kind of arc and trajectory that they need to set up.
What you're saying is that she was going to have something bad about her character because something to overcome. Yeah, she's the main character of the story. If it's going to be a character of color and she can't have any flaws, then that in itself is a patronization of the subject matter. Sure.
Yeah. I guess maybe a counter argument that this person would say is, sure, give her flaws, but why the tropes?
Well, actually, I think in reading this, because the thing is tropes are, I think that it's frustrating, but it's like, if it was there are so many tropes in gaming and stories in gaming, you know what I mean? The teenage girl who's tough and reserved, whatever. So many games, different from all the other girls, it's like, well, that's a trope for girls, whether it's like, it's like the girl in, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of tropes of games, the girls like in The Last of Us, this idea, you know what I mean?
I haven't played that.
I haven't played it either, but the I know enough about it, it's the thing is that like there's a lot of tropes and stories. The problem that I'm seeing here, actually, when I read a little further down, isn't that the character has these tropes. It's that there were no black writers involved.
Yeah. Okay. So let's read a little bit further down. I wasn't the only journalist to find Stashwick's awkward remark and the lack of black writers shown in our preview as heroine. When Axios' Stefan Totilo asked if there were any black developers or consultants involved with Forspoken in Square Enix's video chat, he didn't receive an answer during our preview. Later on, he received a fact sheet that rounded up our media questions. Sadly, its answers came off as canned responses that lean heavily on the hands-off preview, where Belinska's quote passionate feedback throughout her motion capture process was regarded as invaluable feedback for the team. We worked closely with a number of consultants from BIPOC backgrounds to help portray Frey's character and tell her story from her perspective, Square Enix said in the fact, adding that Forspoken's supporting cast was dominated by women and several women of color. While I don't doubt Luminous Productions consulted black folks in how they went about creating Frey, being greeted by white writers and only hearing about consultation from second-hand accounts didn't do them any favors for me as a player who's been starving for black representation in games, both on-screen and in crafting their narratives. When we have discussions about representation and changing the way games are made, it feels like they are often left at superficial changes, like the face on the cover of the game or nearly interchangeable protagonists. Sure, they have black actors like Belinska and Geneva Gavankar as antagonist Tantasila, but without black writers or consultants featured prominently during the preview, the game didn't come off well for me. The wince-inducing descriptions levied at the protagonist could have easily been avoided had anyone with melanin been given meaningful positions of power on the project.
And maybe that's true, and maybe it's not. I mean, as far as like if there had been a black writer and he had said that, it wouldn't have offended her in the same way because she would feel this guy knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? This is or girl. You know. What I mean? It would at least it's. To me, it's about, it's not, what they said is one thing, but it's about who was saying it, you know what I mean, as much as it's what was said. I mean, it's tough because, as a black person, would you rather them, if the choice was to have the main character be black, or have her be white, because there are white people making the game, and we're white people making this game, and they're thinking, well, we can make the main character black, but we don't really know anything about black people because we're white, and so we're just going to make the main character white. You know what I mean?
It's a tough situation because you obviously you don't want to discourage companies from skewing towards diversity and putting them on a stake and burning them in the town square, for this kind of stuff, kind of skews towards disincentivizing them to go in this direction. Because they could have made Frey's character white, and then this wouldn't be an article.
No.
There
would just be another game with a white character that this girl could not play.
And that's that's a trade-off that their C-suite would have to determine if they're willing to make, because there's also a certain amount of press and publicity that this game is getting because it has more BIPOC representation. And maybe this is a situation where I very tongue-in-cheek described it as burning them at the stake in town square, but maybe this is a situation where no publicity is bad publicity, because now I know Forspoken is a game that exists.
Well, it's true,
where I didn't know that before.
That wasn't their intention.
No, of course not. But I mean, again, just the simple nature of the controversy creates more awareness of the product, and that in some minds can only be a good thing. But to your question, it's tough, man, and I speak as someone that's been in the game industry for 14 years.
I would say you have
the
particular unique and
there aren't a lot of black people in the game industry. There were more and more towards the latter years before I dipped those numbers in an opposite direction.
And they could have went and found someone.
They probably could have
found a black writer and put him in there.
It wouldn't have been too hard for them to find a black writer and hire him on for this.
But it's just one of those things. It goes from when you read the how the story started here. You know what I mean? It sounds like if it started at Telltale, it started years ago. You know what I mean? Probably when the conversation wasn't as, not as pointed about these issues. I mean, certainly this has been going on for a while, but it's more prescient now than it was been in the past. And the story moved up through Amy Hennering in between, I guess, working on that Star Wars game that she worked on for a while. Or what's her name? It's Amy...
I was trying to find the names.
Henning or Hennering or something. That's the girl that did... Oh, Henning. Yeah, that did... I knew Gary Whitta. I know his name. He wrote... I want to say he wrote some Star Wars shit.
I know that name looks familiar to me.
Yeah, Gary Whitta wrote... I want to say he possibly wrote Rogue One.
Yeah, he did. He's the guy. He did some. I think I don't know if he wrote it, but he rewrote it, or he was involved.
Yeah, he was involved with it. So then it goes to Amy Henning, and it was at Telltale, and it goes to her.
The story for Rogue One and Book of Eli and After Earth with M. Night Shyamalan. So he's not a game writer, really. No. It doesn't seem like it. He's like an actual fucking writer. Not to discourage game writing.
And who knows where those story beats came from. Maybe it came from that guy. Maybe it came later. It's just one of those things. And maybe the point is that,
she made her design debut on the Super Nintendo with Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City.
Oh, wow.
So, see, she knows about how to write black people. What are you talking about? She fucking knocked it out of the park with this one. He's got the fucking flaming basketball. He's got the fucking
ice basketball.
The ice basketball. Come on, there you go. He's got the flaming basketball.
He's clearly black.
He's black. Do you not see that? Fucking, he's in Chicago, the Windy City. I mean, can't get much more black than that. So I don't know what their problem is. Who's a designer there? So
yeah, I mean, she did all the Uncharted games. That's what she made her name. I mean, that's when she got really
good. She was so she wrote for Uncharted.
Then she worked on Star Wars for a second, and then that game got canceled.
Well, I mean, so it sounds like they put together like a top tier writing team.
Well, that was in the early stages of the game. I mean, that was before Square Enix bought it. I mean, it moved
from Telltale. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Square Enix obviously bought the thing. My point is we don't really know.
So it's really Alison Reimer and Todd Stashwick.
Yeah, they finalized the story and script. That's what she says there. And the thing is I don't know where the beats, like the main character being black, where did that come into the story? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which, I mean, honestly, a more savvy, someone that actually read Kotaku, you know what I'm saying? A more savvy, company would have been like, do we have any black writers that work here? You know what I'm saying? I think we're meeting with Kotaku and
we got to make sure we got at least.
I've read some of this girl's articles. We need to get.
Just go down to Starbucks. Just find a black guy. Just offer him $150 for the day.
On a laptop.
Yeah, find a black guy with a laptop.
Get him over here. Tell him he's got a job.
Make sure he's stylish. You want a stylish. Don't just find some black schlub.
Horn-rimmed glasses.
Horn-rimmed glasses. Excellent. If you could look a little bit like I forget that guy's name.
And been like, hey, your role is just to sit in here and this is the deal.
This is your new role. It's a big role. This is your breakthrough role.
He's gonna ask some questions. You're gonna need to know about this character and how it came to be. Work in some stories of your own life or whatever. And
So these are the main points of the character. Yeah. And I need you to find a way to tie them into your life.
Exactly.
So she's very angry, so I need you to tie that into your anger. It's like, but I'm not angry.
Yeah.
Well, you got to find some anger in there.
It's like, I find this a little offensive, man. Yeah. Have you ever made $100,000 in a day? You know what?
She was real close to prison. Now, do you have any jail time experience? Surely you've been running from the cops at some point in your life.
I've seen that Get Hard movie with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart.
It's like, I really don't have much experience with the police, man. You're killing me. I want to hire you. You look good. You look the part.
You're the guy.
You are the guy. But we need you. We need to sell you on your street toughs.
I've already got 6 zeros on there.
You were born in Chicago, right? With all the shooting and killing and black on black crime? It's like, dude, I'm from Westlake. Yeah, that's what they should have done.
I'm not saying they should have done it. I'm saying if their marketing, guys that got that interview for them probably should have read some of that girl's articles and knew what was coming down the pipe.
I'm saying they definitely should have done that. So this guy's done a ton of writing on TV.
Gary Whitta?
Yeah. No, Todd Stashwick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's written for Curb. Wait. No, is he an actor? This is his role.
He's wearing a Star Wars shirt, so, he obviously is... He likes fantasy and science fiction.
Okay, so he's had a lot of roles as an actor. 911 Lone Star. Oh, God. That show.
So he's a writer, but he's also an actor. He works as a video game writer, and then he also acts. It looks like he maybe small parts.
TV bit parts, yeah.
Hey, man.
Also in some movies.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably pretty...
Some voice work.
Doing okay,
Yeah, him and this woman...
So he was working under her. That's how he got on the job.
Yeah, for that Star Wars game that Visceral was doing. So that's how they were attached to one another.
And maybe she moved on, and he was like, "I'm still going to work on this or whatever."
Yeah. I
mean, who fucking knows the story? My point is the story of who ends up working on the game seemed to be quite convoluted, and they're probably a deal where they were just like trying to get the game done and. It's done, and the main character is who she is, and they think like, all right, this is great, and then they're like,
let's bring in the black woman from Kotaku and see how much she loves this.
Yeah, and they're like, oh shit,
oh fucking shit.
It's like Amy gets on the phone. Did you make
kill the fried chicken lunch? Yeah. Kill the fried chicken lunch. No, it's going real south. Somebody get some Panera in here.
It's going real south. It's like what? The other writer's like. I ordered the fried chicken lunch. I really wanted that.
We had the survey for the company. Everybody wanted Popeyes. So get out of here.
No. Do you realize? I've been watching Geeks and Gamers all day. We live in a woke culture. we're going to be crucified by Kotaku.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe. You'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate. And if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So please and thank you.